So you're at the racetrack and you determine you need to change your ball joint stud out of your ball joint. Let me show you how easy this is on a QA1 Ultimate ball joint. Hi everyone, I'm Tim from QA1. Today we're talking about changing your pin out on your QA1 Ultimate ball joint. Now our ball joints are available in popular styles such as your thread-in style, your press-in style, or your bolt-in style ball joint. And all parts are serviceable and you can easily change different studs out if you happen to damage one or you're trying to change the suspension geometry by going to a different length stud. It's a very simple process, so I'm going to cover that with you today. First off, you do want to remove the stud from the spindle. You want to do that so you can, when you go to put it back together, you can set the preload properly. And we offer a ball joint toolkit, which is just a spanner socket. Then it has a hex shape tool to set the load on it. So using this, we will use the socket first to remove the locking nut. Then we will take our hex and the side with the hole in it will go down over the grease fitting. Then we'll pop our stud and our cup and our spider. Also, another internal component would be the race. That's the piece that's all the way down there. That's actually what the ball of the stud rides on. To get that out, it's as simple as just using a pick and just working it out of there. So now we're going to take a look at the parts breakdown inside the QA1 Ultimate ball joint. The first part here would be your race. This is the part that the actual ball portion of the stud rides on when the ball joint is in the stud is in the housing. Then you have your stud, which is available in various tapers and various lengths for various applications. Behind the ball would be a combination of the spider and the plastic cup. These work together to create a bind-free load on that ball to make sure it is, stays tight and doesn't have any end play. And that preload on there is actually set with this, what we call the torque nut. So this threads down behind it to put the load on the ball, and then once that is set, we lock it in place with the locking nut. All of these parts are replaceable and serviceable if needed. Most commonly, people will switch out studs, whether they damaged them or if they want to change their suspension geometry. But otherwise, most of these parts, have a pretty long-lasting life as long as you take care of them and check them properly. So now that we have all our components ready to reinstall, we're going to put it together in the order they're supposed to be. So first we're going to put our race in there, and that just pushes in by your hand. And just push it down until it stops. Next you're going to have your stud, drop that in there. And this can all be done while it's on the car too, so you don't have to remove the whole arm to do this. You can still leave it bolted up. You just do have to have it attached from the spindle, obviously, to change the stuff. But next we're going to do our, the plastic cup would be next, and then the spider, steel spider behind it. So next we're going to put our torque nut on, and that's going to set the load on the ball joint stud. So as we tighten this down against the stud, this is when we check our preload on the ball joint. If you go too tight, if you put a wrench on there and you really crank on it, you're not going to be able to move that stud at all. You can tell, like, you put a lot of force on it, it takes a lot of force to move it. That's too tight. So you want to back it off. And you want the stud to move free and not have any end play. So if you try to push it in and out, you don't want to have much feel. I mean, you're going to have a little bit there, but you want it to move free and not push in and out. And once you have that set, you'll put the locking nut on. And once you have that in place, you put the torque nut tool in there, and you hold that with the wrench, and then you lock the two together. And you're all set. So that's how you change your stud out of your control arm and your QA1 ball joint. If you have any other questions, call our tech line or visit qa1.net.